Welcome back to the most professional beyond all reason. With 10 of the highest level commanders in the game loading into the map, the unit limit is set at 20,000. The game is made by volunteers. It's open source based on total annihilation. But it will cost you a whole chunk of your sanity, even more of your free time. So if you have either of those, it'd be incredible. Before we get started, if you could smash that like button, maybe even subscribe. I'll be kind of the algorithm. Jimmy, what do we have? Jimmy. 1,010 likes on this video, on this cast, and I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways, because I don't know what else I'd do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully, you've had a good day so far, and hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. As we load into Hyperion Shale, a very dramatic-looking map for the Omega Pro League, the biggest 5 versus 5 tournament of the year. And to the south, with Sifos, Baby 2NG, Happiness, oh, we finally found it, Immort, and Jeaner, it's Team Lack of Brain Cells. And to the north, 8D, Spodey, Sash Corin, Vic, and Autopilot. We have the less originally named, yet very accurate, teammates. The two teams facing off here, and the very first ticks headed out, Armada, with access to the most aptly named and annoying units, editorializing a bit in the game. But both sides share it, and so far the ticks being boxed out. Meanwhile, over on the other side of the map, it looks like, well, for those who don't know and beyond all reason, it's not about your metal extractor or my bot lab, but it's about our resources, comrade. Communism is not only something you'll see occasionally, but is considered to be a potentially overpowered strategy. As we see it being utilized here, Autopilot handed Vic's commander in order to concentrate that build power and those resources. You can already see in the bottom right corner a whole lot of those resource sliders dragged down, which means that they're sharing most of the resources they gather with their teammates. And I believe many of the teams will be focused on just 1 or 2 of the players producing, and the rest trying to support that level of production. It's all about logistics. And so far, the ticks running over the field, some of the pawns coming out to deal with them, but they're faster than pretty much anything else on the ground, so good luck catching up. Ticks of their own, going to be able to overrun, and so far, it's looking very difficult to reliably do so. Meanwhile, over to the eastern flank, we have not too much action. There's a lot of dips here that the bots seem like they can pretty easily traverse. But every projectile, every bomb, every bullet, every laser is affected by the terrain. The high ground very much matters. You do not want to underestimate its power. But the disintegration gun, 8D misses 1. The disintegration gun one-shots every unit in the game, besides fellow commanders. You just have to do that the whole old-fashioned way of shooting him in the face. Oh, things moving forward. Spodey and 8D matching with Baby N2G, as well as Sifos. More trying to come around. Meanwhile, looks like Vic. Interesting. So, the units are being handed off to Vic, to Micro, whereas Autopilot seems to be handling the macro. So, an Archon mode sort of situation. Meanwhile, the first Janus rocket launchers, a very high damage, though, relatively low-range missile tank. D-guns whipped out on either side. Takes out the Janus at the edge of its range, but manages to take out some of those light laser turrets. Meanwhile, another shot comes through. Spodey already at 2/3 HP. The rocket bots, no match, but Spodey maybe needs to learn to dodge, duck, dip, dive, or dodge, because right now he's right in the midst of everything. And a commander going down on the front lines would not just be devastating in terms of keeping your team alive, but it'll take most of the defenses along with it and can spiral out of control quickly. So far, the lines are being drawn. I'm not sure how much metal. 6.2 per second. The wind energy is very high as well, making wind turbines, as well as energy crystals throughout the map that can be gathered to add to it. Baby 2NG, 12%. Obviously strayed a little bit too far into some of the rockets, but still 5 commanders aside. You can see those resources in the top right as well, with metal a second, energy, build power, then metal produced, energy produced, army value, which includes the commanders, defense value, turrets, and economy value. And then just the total damage overall they managed to rack up. Vic moving forward. He actually handed the commander back. And Vic's starting to add some defenses. I think it's very important to point out the lack of vision that these teams have. They might have radar, but actually keeping vision in order to accurately move your forces or even aim some of your longer range weapons is very difficult. And things that might seem obvious, and we've got that full overview, are very much not so to the teams on the ground. Especially before any aircraft get involved, and surprisingly so, not a single player on either team dedicated to the aircraft, but instead bashing forward. Got some maces, the plasma bots, a Centurion looking to match them. Armada forces on either side seem to be very popular on the front lines. Armada pawns going to try to kill happiness, like they so often do. Meanwhile, getting the full surround, the flank, adding that extra damage. The D-gun trying to keep them alive. So, just 3 pods, the damage output is not quite enough. But, you know, that which doesn't kill you is going to rack up a repair bill that your family's going to be paying for generations. Meanwhile, the standoff continues. Sifos with a staggered wall, which seems designed to help deal with some of those rockets that are firing across. Baby N2G, 7% HP. Very slowly regenerates, but going to need some repair bots to actually bash through. So, across the board, we see so far, team lack of brain cells seems to be holding the line, but not able to push forward, especially over to the eastern flank. Happiness and X-Ener in the center, up against just Sash Korin. But the commanders are only one part of the composition. The unit counts are starting to grow across the board, though I think we see our first Tier 2 lab. A massive expense in this sort of game. And having the Tier 2 economy, ooh, on the other side as well, both sides going for the Tier 2 labs, but we have a Cortex vehicle plant for the teammates. The lack of brain cells has opted for the Armada bot lab. So quite a split. The Cortex vehicle's incredibly strong, but relatively immobile compared to the, well, Armada bots have quite a mixed bag as well. But there's another Armada bot lab, and a fat boy is joining the field. Long-range artillery plasma bot. Anything in the general area will be very unhappy to meet this guy. But at the same time, is not known for its agility. Meanwhile, more moving forward. Some thugs challenging the turrets, the pawns as well. But so far, that's blasting through. Honestly, light laser turrets pale in comparison to some of these units, but they're also very cheap in comparison as well. The fat boy blasting, and anything. The general area having a tough time. There's nothing that can really challenge it right now. It could maybe get overwhelmed, but it has the range and the damage to easily obliterate. They're making a gauntlet plasma artillery. I'm not sure if they spotted it. Okay, I'm pretty sure they spotted it. The artillery's done. The fat boy going to duel with it on the field. Firing direct shots onto the artillery. It's not going to take too many more, but a fat boy is dropped in on either side. Meanwhile, Tier 1 is still the brawl. Near the... Oh, another fat boy at the front. It seems across the board, the girthiest of bots are the most important to keep alive. Size matters. All right. At least that's what I keep telling people. Fat boys on either side. Oof. The artillery, I don't even think really has the DPS to deal with this, but it's certainly distracting. Commander nearby, starting to run low on energy, though. Overall, relatively even. Sharing more economy with either side. In order to fire it off... Actually, I'm not sure the fat boy has an energy cost when it fires. Most turrets and some laser weapons will cost energy. I'm noticing the energy is low, well across the board, as the teams are expending everything they have. 4.8k energy for both sides, dead even. The metal production is slightly in favor of the teammates so far. The fat boy is still just blasting across. We see the center is quite a meat grinder, well, a bolt grinder as well. Firing to the back line takes out the constructors, but this fat boy is taking a lot of damage. They're just targeting the commanders, which seem to be softer targets. Meanwhile, Sash Korin is repairing... Oh, ooh, Halloween theme. More fat boys dropped in from the support on the back line. A commander's taken down, able to snipe it off, and almost found some collateral damage. The first commander to fall 9.5 minutes in. Just the sheer amount of plasma firing on either side was bound to catch something eventually. And it really feels like Lob is really lobbing their way forward with these fat boys. He gets so close. One more shot. And, oh, providing vision. He's still got the range. He just needs to get a little closer. The shot comes out. It clips him, but it's not enough. Has to be careful not to go too far forward. Let's take a look at the Eastern Front. Fat boys marching. Some Sheldons. Aircraft being added in for more than just transport, but now an opportunity. Yeah, some tier 2 construction bots brought to the front. Decides to turn around, doesn't know what it's doing. Got a little dizzy there. Meanwhile, continuing. Fat boys across the board. In the rear, with the gear. Sheldons, though, working their way forward. The fat boy can get close enough. Looks like another tier 2 lab being queued up. Oh, and here come the ticks. Down the center. Thinking of overrunning this, but there's enough pawns in the front to cover. Another commander was taken down. It looks like autopilot was knocked out over to the right side. Lack of brain cells. They're down on economy at the moment. Actually, quite significantly so. And not just enough from the reclaim, but it looks like the tier 2 metal extractors have been much slower in coming together for the southern team. Sharpshooters lining up shots, though quite costly in both energy and their initial investment. The fat boys, though, at 1,400 metal, disintegrated just like that. That's more than the cost of a commander itself. But here come the ticks down the center, trying to overrun the artillery, and so far easily taking them out. Slices off a couple that got too bold, and then backs off before they get cut down by the laser turrets. Still a standoff across the board. We can hear the fat boys just unloading constantly. It still feels like teammates economically holding it together. They've got the wind fields at the back. These support players, the backline players, bringing these high-tier units to the front. But we have a whole bunch of bombers invested in. Stormbringers, the Armada bombers, being mustered now. Waiting for their opportunity. And really, there's not a lot of fighters on either side. Though, the southern team, definitely with more. Another D-gun. The ticks trying to draw out some fire. The artillery has survived throughout all this, but another one on the high ground is making things very difficult. Meanwhile, the brawl in the center, dodging rockets with a fat boy. Meanwhile, Sash Corin, cloaked, moving forward. Is there any vision of this? There's a radar contact, but they haven't yet figured out exactly what it is. It should be pretty clear, though. The ticks looking to overrun the field. Swarming now. Is there much to deal with him? He just goes forward. On top of the Arbiters. The Sheldons, the commander itself, is brought down. And before the Mammoth can defend, overrun. The ticks swarming and stinging down. 2 commanders remain for the teammates. They might have overall, they've produced 50k more metal throughout this game. They've produced a few 100,000 more energy. But there's only 2 commanders that still remain. Mammoths, designed to deal with those swarms of units. A very strong, fast-firing laser. But the commander obliterated before they could really join the field. Thankfully, though, they came out in time to stall the production. We see another shift in the tech. An Armada vehicle plant going for the long-range Starlight Tachyon cannons. Not cannons. Just weapon. It just says weapon. Well, it shoots a long laser with an incredible range. A very high energy cost. Production still coming together. The fat boys exchanging fire. still, the standoff. Hyperion Shale. There's no water there. It's just, it seems like everybody avoiding the terrain that essentially funnels them into death. The little valleys, the divots in the center. Sashkoran has, despite the loss of his commander, managed to hold on the center against really 2 players. But the same can be said for a Mort over to the eastern flank. Some welders moving through. The bombers lining up an opportunity. The Stormbringers ready to make things more dramatic. A tactical nuke launcher is coming together. But the Fat Boy's trying to make sure it's blown apart beforehand. Meanwhile, more Fat Boys, but welders from the Armada. The chain lightning attack, able to just lance through all the ticks easily, and behind it, sharpshooters for sniping off the higher value targets. We've got some walls in front, the ticks coming through, but the bombers over the top, and there's almost nothing to challenge it. The fighters moving into position, but a strafing run knocks out the production at the front, and a whole lot of the constructors as well. The bombers will be taken down in turn, but, well, they built up so much more. They weren't expecting it, but the ticks are overrunning. Things starting to get dramatic on either side. The bombers going down the center. How much of the production? It's mostly just spread out wind turbines. There's no focal point you can really target, but carpet bombing in general. Going for the construction lab. Commander has been annihilated. Another commander? Who was that? Oh, baby. Down for the count, taken out on the front lines. Now a Tier 2 Armada plant. But the sharpshooters are moving forward. Not the sharpshooters, rather. The Starlights. Though maybe some sharpshooters in the mix as well. A real mixed bag of Tier 1 and 2. Though Tier 3 seems to be an economic bridge too far. Judo, anti-scout, anti-radar missile, and another commander has been destroyed. 3-2. Lack of brain cells starting to lack commanders. 8D moving forward, building a bot lab on the front lines. Ticks swarming over a lot of the laser turrets. Trying to reinforce over to the east. As teammates still have the economic lead. They still have by far the amount of wind turbines. It's almost exclusively wind turbines. Looks like a couple fusion reactors and advanced fusion in the mix. Could be disastrous. But starting to invest in the more concentrated energy with the payoff of obviously way more of it. Some bulls trying to charge out of the vehicle plant, but the welders are moving forward too quickly. Ticks moving in to try to intercept. The production under fire. The vehicle plant itself is one of the most expensive things, and without its production, they could just be overrun. The economy is behind this. At the highest level, obviously, players not setting up their economy in a way that can just be... Wait, did they manage? I think they managed to reclaim it instead of having it be destroyed, which means they get some of the money back and deny that reclaim to their opponents. But the teammates are still moving forward. Tier 3. The Marauders hitting the field. A relatively cheap but very fast assault mech out of the experimental gantry. Almost a last-ditch attempt to break through. Remember, it's about how many commanders you have left at the end of the day. The Marauders may be able to snipe one of the commanders over to the left side, and then there will be just one remaining. Meanwhile, a Cortex gantry with some of the stronger units, things like the Behemoth, the Juggernaut, can hit the field. But, a lot more expensive and harder to get going. The Marauders will intercept. The Ticks starting to overrun, but the Junos in order to wipe them out. Marauders try to hold the line, just fighting a defensive action for now. And so far, not a lot of progress being made. Marauders, all they're able to do is hold, but not able to push forward. 8D dangerously close here. As, the commander going to try to get the D-guns on the Marauders, but they're actually firing, it looks like, at the ground. Meanwhile, some Razorbacks coming out as well. The higher level. They're firing at the radar contact. Oh, he ran out of energy for Cloak. Oh, no! Oh, it's a disaster! They're gonna lose the commander. They know it's back there. They're hunting it. There's only 2 commanders left. There's another commander over to the right side. Okay, wait a second. The commanders can't cloak. There's no energy. It's taken down. There's only 1 commander remaining. Oh no! Nuclear bomber hits! And it's over. The single lich. The atomic bomber. Okay, there were 2. There it is. It has 1 kill. The most important kill of the game. They win. In order to win a game of Beyond All Reason, you must destroy all of your opponent's commanders. The teammates, I think, lost sight of that key goal. They destroyed 1,000 more units. But they destroyed less than 5 commanders. Wow. I don't think I've ever seen, pro or otherwise, maybe 1v1, but rarely does a straight-up commander knockout end the game. But between 8D maybe getting a little bold, and then seconds later, while Vic was retreating, you saw that last commander died retreating from what was the front line right here. Oh, it's a disaster. Claiming victory from the jaws of defeat. Just look at the account. Okay, So, for those wondering if it's always a long slog, no, when you get to the highest level, the eyes are on the prize. And the lack of brain cells managed to rub a couple together and take the victory. Hopefully you enjoyed as much as I did. Thank you to the Omega Pro League of Beyond All Reason for putting together the tournament. And if you'd like to see more, it'd be awesome. You can smash that like button. Maybe even subscribe. If you got the means of motivation, Patreon or YouTube membership. But thank you for watching. Good luck, have fun. I'll see you next time. Stay unreasonable.